Hey, what's going on, everyone? Jun here with Hapa英会話 and joining me today is CJ. What's going on, CJ? How you doing?
I am doing very well. How about yourself?
Doing well. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for asking. Yeah.
So today, let's talk about other ways to say I'm sorry. There are a lot of different ways to say I'm sorry. In your case, CJ, what expressions come to mind other than I'm sorry?
Well, I can think of a few. I'll tell you one that I go to quite a bit.
Okay.
And that is, maybe you've heard this one perhaps, my bad.
All right. Mm-hmm.
You hear people say my bad? I use that one a lot. And then depending on the situation, maybe another one that I might use is something like excuse me or excuse me. And then there's pardon me, but maybe excuse me is the one that I would go with personally.
So let's start with my bad, because
Okay.
I use that a lot with my friends too. So I'm sorry and my bad. Does it have the same feel to it? Or do you think I'm sorry and my bad have a different degree of the feeling of sorriness to it?
I do believe the latter. What you said, I think that they have a different degree, actually. So if we offend somebody, like really offend them, we know if we leave this situation as it is, they're going to be angry with us for days, then maybe sorry, in my opinion, in my, thinking, maybe that's when I need to break out. I'm sorry. But
How about this? I'll give you some examples, like some situations, and then you can tell me whether or not you'd say I'm sorry or my bad. How about that?
Okay.
All right. So let's say that we're supposed to meet up for dinner at 7 p.m. And you, for whatever reason, 20 minutes late to dinner. So I'm just kind of maybe at the train station waiting for about 15, 20 minutes. You come running to this train station. Hey, Jun, my bad. Or is it, hey, Jun, I'm sorry for being late. Which one would you go with right here?
If these are just close friends, I'm probably going with my bad.
My bad. Okay.
My bad.
So I think the point is like close friends too, right? Not just like acquaintances. Maybe if you just kind of met them a couple of times, would my bad be a little too casual right here?
Well, definitely that. But then I have to throw you one more thing though. It would depend. For me, it would depend on some of your friends. Sometimes they're late too.
Yeah.
And in this case, if they're late too, then in this case, maybe I'm going with my bad.
Okay.
But if they're the kind of person that's always on time and really care about people being on time, I don't know. I might have to use I'm sorry.
That's a good point, though. It really comes down to whether you think what you did or what you said offended the other person. And if you really feel like whether it's your friend or somebody you just met for the first time was offensive, then my bad would just be a little too casual in those types of situations, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Any other ones?
Yeah, so the other one that I mentioned, honestly, I think that, like I said, I use my bad probably most of the time, 90%, 85% of the time. The other one I could think of was excuse me or pardon me. Excuse me, excuse me.
Yeah. So let's go with that one right there. We got my bad and excuse me, because I feel like these two can also be used interchangeably depending on the situation. So you live in Japan right now. Japan's crowded, right? So let's say like you're heading to the train station. You're in a hurry, and you just accidentally bumped into somebody. In this situation, do you say my bad or do you say excuse me?
Younger person or of the same age, my bad.
Okay.
Elderly person or adult figure, maybe excuse me. Yeah.
What other situations do you think you use excuse me as like an apology? Because sometimes with excuse me, you have like the apology excuse me, and you have like the excuse me like calling the waiter like excuse me, or trying to get somebody's attention, excuse me, right?
That's right. Right. Actually, I think your example of being on the train was a good one, because like if you bump into somebody or step on their shoe, or if you are on your if I'm on my bicycle here in Kyoto and I, cut somebody off, using all these words, but if I, ride my bike in front of someone accidentally, maybe they're walking or riding their bike, then I say, oh, excuse me. Excuse me, man. Something like that. I don't know. But yeah, in that case, it's kind of like an apology, but...
You ever use my apologies?
Never. Although I have heard it.
Okay.
Heard it, for sure. But to me, it's right up there with that formal, I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
So formal. But there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess I just don't find myself in as many formal situations, Yeah.
Like my apologies definitely has, like, to me, it sounds more formal than I am sorry. Maybe when I'm shooting like an email to somebody, or you're running late, not just to like a dinner with your friends, but maybe you have, a seminar or some kind of group presentation and you have like, 20, 30 people sitting in the room waiting for you. You get up to the front and you may say, I'm sorry. You might say, my apologies, everyone, for, running late. But it does have more of that formal feel to it, right? Last question before we wrap up our video for today.
Okay. My
bad. Can anybody use this? Do you think there's like an age thing with my bad? Is it like, can somebody like 50, 60 years old use my bad? Or do you think there's like a cutoff somewhere where like after a certain age, don't use it kind of thing?
There's definitely a cutoff.
There's a cutoff, all right.
Yeah, there should be a cutoff. And I'm thinking to myself, like my sister could use this phrase.
How old's your sister?
So she's upwards of 30.
Okay, all right, so like mid 30s. All right, so that's where I'm at right now. So maybe I'm like right on that cusp right there.
Yeah.
Like
she could use it. But I'm gonna say this because I think that probably a male could use it longer. I can use it longer than my sister could. Like once my sister reaches a certain age, I just can't imagine her saying my bad. Of course, she can use it whenever she likes, but just in my imagination, just for her, I think she would probably choose to drop this vocabulary at some point, and then I would choose to continue a little longer using it. My bad. It's kind of I don't know, that's just my thinking on this.
I don't think I've ever heard my dad ever say my bad, ever. I don't. That's never been like a part of his language. And maybe it's my generation growing up. We might be, I'm assuming you're a lot younger than I am, but at least, like in the generation that I grew up in, from like high school growing up, my bad was just a part of the language that I use, with my friends. And even until this day, it's still a part of our language, especially, when I'm talking to my close friends. So kind of like you said, I feel like no matter how old I get, at least when I am speaking with my closer friends, I feel like it's one of those expressions that will just naturally come out. But if I am, I'll probably pick and choose my situations. If I'm speaking to somebody that I've never met before and I'm in like my mid 40s, 50s, and I would probably have a filter saying like, maybe this is not the situation to use my bad, and I might go with excuse me or I'm sorry or something like that, right?
100%. Yeah, if it's an elderly person, I'm not going to use my bad, and nor would I expect them to. I'd be surprised if they were to use it if it's an elderly person, but yeah, if they do, hey, that's cool. But I just couldn't see it.
Alrighty guys, well, I hope you guys found this video useful today. Don't forget, CJ is an amazing teacher on Cafe Talk. You can find all of his information in the description below, or go to cafetalk.com and find him there. CJ, thanks for today, man.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Bye guys.